Welcome back, Pesca Gang. This is Josh with Pesca Outdoors, and on today's episode, we are going to be tackling Fort de Soto as well as the bridges leading up to the island. The goal for today is catching something to take home for dinner. We are going to kick the episode off by visiting the jetties where we ended last week's episode. These jetties were stacked with fish like sheep's head and mangrove snapper. The guy I was fishing next to had really good luck using live shrimp, so this time around I got myself a bucket of shrimp. My goal is to hit these rocks to get a similar result. I hooked the shrimp and casted it out, waiting for a bite. After a couple seconds, I felt some hard nibbles, but next thing I knew, I was stuck. Either the snapper brought me into the rocks, or I snagged up by letting it sink for too long. Either way, I had to go to the pier to rig up, and I ended up staying. The live shrimp were getting chewed at the pier. It wasn't long before I hooked onto my first fish. This was my first time catching this species. This is a lane snapper. This guy is way too small to keep, so we gave him the boot. It wasn't long before I hooked onto my second lane snapper. Looks can be deceiving. These guys are small, but they fight hard. I've heard these fish are tasty, but they have to be a minimum of 8 inches to keep. No keepers today, but I'll be back to try again. Once the tide picked up, I started hooking on to some spotted trout. No keepers, but these guys are so fun to catch.
Stop. Please, no, he's so slippery.
I decided to hit the bridge that leads up to Fort de Soto. I still had some live shrimp and I knew I could get bit up. I noticed you could climb onto some pilings under the bridge, so I made the hike. It was time to hook on a shrimp and get to business. I took my first cast and it wasn't long before I got smashed.
No, boy, man.
After losing that fish, I knew time was of the essence, so I ran over and hooked the shrimp as fast as I could to cast back out.
Got him. Trout.
Shrimp?
Thank you. Shrimp. Yep.
I thought you were feeding them one time. It's a nice one.
I was hyped to see that it was a juicy trout. I knew this guy was gonna come home with me for dinner. Matt has told me these guys are delicious, so I've been looking forward to eating one. Baptized this dude in the cooler and we're back in the water to catch another. The tide slowed down, so I decided to hit the flats next to the bridge. All I could find were more pinfish, so I decided it was time to move. But not before this guy could come and steal some shrimp.
Get out of here.
I decided to hit one of the bigger bridges leading to the island. I started off by casting the shrimp right in front of these rocks, hoping to get a bite from either a mangrove snapper or a sheep's head. After a couple minutes of no bites, I decided to hit this dock next to the bridge. I knew there was going to be a big fish waiting for a quick snack. Out of nowhere, I felt something come and smash the shrimp. I couldn't keep it on the hook. I quickly put a new shrimp on there and casted it under the piling. And next thing you knew, I'd hooked onto some action. This was a beautiful juvenile gag grouper and my second ever. Extremely pumped to catch this beautiful fish. It wasn't a keeper, so I sent it packing. I tied on another shrimp and went back to the dock since it seemed the fish were stacked up.
Let's go. This
Way smaller.
Second gag grouper of the day, and these guys fight so hard for their size. I love the coloration on these fish and they're becoming one of my favorites. I met this nice guy. He was from Colombia just like me and just recently came to the country. He was asking for a couple of tips on how I caught the gag grouper and what kind of equipment I was using. I gave him a couple of my hooks and he went on his way. I continued fishing the dock with the shrimp and the pinfish followed me here.
My boy, it's your time, my boy.
He promised him.
Enjoy your lunch, buddy.
Oh my God.
As you can tell by the third grouper, I was starting to feel myself. It's been a great day for fishing and I've had a blast catching these beautiful fish. Down to my last shrimp, I sent him down until I felt a good bite. And as fate would have it, it is a beautiful mangrove snapper. Taking us full circle on our journey today, I get the fish I was after. Tossed him back and I can't wait to come back and catch a bigger one. Fast forward to the crib, it's time to fillet this trout and make some delicious dinner. This is my first time filleting, so I skipped it because I did a horrible job. I went really simple with the seasonings, just some garlic powder and some pink Himalayan sea salt. The goal was to get a good taste of the fish, so I went with neutral spices. I used avocado oil due to its high heat resistance, and I'm just gonna fry the fish lightly on each side. If you have any tips, tricks, or recipes on cooking trout, please leave them in the comments. I'll be down to try them out in the future. I am lightly coating the fillets in our seasoning mix and then laying them on the oil away from you so it doesn't splatter. The fish cooked for a total of 5 minutes, and I finished it off with a squeeze of lime. Now time for a taste.
Those little pieces were definitely overcooked. The first ones that I ate, because eating this big piece, it's a completely different texture. It's a lot softer than I was expecting. That's some good stuff. This feels so good, the fact that I caught this shit and now I'm whipping it up. Cool.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe, and share. More content coming soon.